The Bennet carriage rattled down the familiar dusty road toward Longbourn, and Elizabeth watched the countryside roll past with a mind far too tangled to appreciate the scenery. The soft green fields, spring flowers opening in the hedges, even the distant silhouettes of sheep grazing, everything seemed quieter, heavier, touched by the weight of what she now carried. Darcy's letter. His truth. Her own mistakes. As the carriage creaked to a stop, Lizzie braced herself. Longbourn wasn't just home. It was noise and chaos and constant commentary. Darcy's world, structured, contained, controlled, felt galaxies away. But she stepped through the door, and immediately, "Lizzie, oh Lizzie, you're home at last." Mrs. Bennet's voice crashed over her like a wave. Her mother swarmed her with questions about Lady Catherine, Charlotte, the grand dining rooms of Rosings, whether Elizabeth had seen handsome officers on the road, and of course, did Mr. Collins say anything about our Jane, anything useful? Elizabeth forced a smile. "No, Mama." Her mother sighed dramatically, as if Lizzie had personally failed Jane by returning empty-handed. But Elizabeth barely heard her. Her mind was still drifting toward a tall man with solemn eyes and a letter that had torn apart her certainty. Jane's quiet pain. Jane was the first true comfort. Her serene smile felt the same, but Elizabeth could see past it now, the slight tension around the eyes, the careful gentleness in her tone. Heartbreak had left its shadow. They went to Jane's room, and when the door shut behind them, Jane finally let the mask slip a little. "I am happy you're home, Lizzie," she said softly. "I've missed you." Elizabeth hugged her tightly. Too tightly. "I've missed you too," she whispered. "And I'm sorry, Jane. Sorry I didn't see how deep your pain was. Sorry I let my anger blind me." But the words stayed inside her chest. Jane sat on the edge of her bed, hands folded neatly. "I suppose I am well. I must be well. Time after all." Elizabeth sat beside her. "Jane, I need to tell you something about Mr. Bingley." Jane's eyes flicked up, hopeful for a second, then dimming again. "No, Lizzie, please don't. I don't want to hope again." Elizabeth hesitated. Darcy's letter, it wasn't hers to share verbatim, but Jane deserved the truth. "Someone convinced Mr. Bingley that you did not care for him. Someone misread your quietness." Jane blinked, confused. But who would do such a thing? Elizabeth hesitated. "I will tell you everything soon. But know this, Bingley truly loved you. He still does. His absence wasn't because of you." Jane's breath shuddered. Her hands trembled. For a moment, Elizabeth thought she might finally cry, but she didn't. Jane rarely allowed herself that release. "Thank you," Jane whispered. "But I must not rely on it. I must not build hopes again." Lizzie squeezed her hand. But inside her heart, a spark glowed. Darcy left Bingley because he thought Jane felt nothing. What if he learned the truth? What would happen then? A changed Elizabeth. The next days felt surreal. Elizabeth walked familiar paths, greeted familiar faces, performed familiar tasks, but she felt like a stranger in her own life. She saw Wickham at a local gathering. He smiled that charming, boyish smile. He bowed with perfect grace. And for the first time, she saw right through him. His eyes flickered with discomfort when he approached, as if he sensed she no longer admired him blindly. He asked after her health, complimented her appearance, attempted his usual soft-spoken ease. But Elizabeth responded with cool civility, polite, distant, nothing more. Inside, her heart said, "I know who you truly are." And Wickham felt it. He shifted subtly, an undercurrent of anxiety beneath his smooth composure. For the first time since she'd met him, Wickham didn't linger. He bowed and moved on. Elizabeth watched him go with a steady, unblinking calm. Darcy was right. And I was wrong. The thought still stung, but it also strengthened her. There was clarity in finally seeing. The news no one expected. Several quiet weeks passed. And then came the moment that shattered the stillness of Longbourn. A letter arrived. Not for Elizabeth. Not even for Jane. It was for Lydia. Lydia squealed from the hallway, waving the opened letter like a trophy. Mama, Mama, guess what? I have been invited to go to Brighton. Brighton, Lizzie. Imagine it, bright colors, splendid officers, parties every night. Mrs. Bennet screamed with delight. Brighton! Oh, Lydia, my sweet child, how wonderful. You must go, you must. What an opportunity. Elizabeth felt her stomach drop. Brighton. A seaside city, overflowing with soldiers. And Wickham. It was a disaster waiting to happen. Lydia twirled around the room. Oh, Lizzie, think of it. Red coats everywhere. I shall be the favorite I always am. Elizabeth stepped forward, voice sharp. Lydia, you cannot go. Lydia froze mid-spin. Excuse me. Elizabeth turned to her father. Papa, you must refuse. Lydia is too young, too wild, and too careless. She cannot be exposed to such temptations. Lydia's jaw dropped in outrage. Mrs. Bennet nearly fainted. How dare you, sabotaging your sister's chances? Elizabeth's voice was calm but firm. This is serious. Mr. Bennet looked between his daughters, clearly torn. He sighed, rubbing his temples. Lizzie, I know your concerns, but surely Lydia will be safe. Elizabeth's heart squeezed. She thought of Wickham. She thought of Darcy's letter. She thought of the consequences. No, she whispered. She won't be. But Lydia only laughed. Oh, Lizzie, stop being dramatic. You're just jealous because Brighton wants me, not you. Mrs. Bennet clapped her hands. That settles it. Lydia is going. Elizabeth stared at her father. He hesitated, looked at Lydia's excitement, at Mrs. Bennet's eager anticipation, at Elizabeth's pleading eyes. And then he made a choice, one he would regret forever. Let her go, he said tiredly. Let the child have some fun. Elizabeth closed her eyes. A cold dread filled her chest, heavy and ominous. For the first time in her life, she felt real fear for her family's future. Because she knew something no one else understood. Wickham was dangerous, and Lydia was walking straight into his trap.